Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be doing this highly requested tutorial for this really cute bracelet. You could also use it as an anklet if you want to, so let's just get right into the tutorial. For this project, you're going to be needing these shell beads that you can get off of Amazon. Then you're also going to need a lighter. I definitely recommend having parental supervision for this. You're going to need some wax cord string, which you can get from Amazon as well. And then you also need scissors. Definitely have parental supervision for this as well. And yeah, you're also going to need a ruler for this project. So you can start out by measuring out at least 30 inches of string. Yes, I know it's a lot, but I'd rather have too much than too little. For an anklet, you're going to need it to be longer than this, so at least 35 inches probably, but maybe even longer than that. Once you cut your string, you're going to go to the opposite side where you have this like loop, and you're not going to cut it. You're actually just going to tie a regular knot. So just loop over and then put the ends through the loop and pull tight. So just a regular knot right there. And then you can cut the ends. If your end is too long, you can cut it, but then you're just going to melt it down with your lighter. And don't melt it too much, just a little bit, and then pinch it with your fingers. Be careful not to burn yourself with this, but you should have a pretty nice knot once you're done with that. Next, you're going to go down about 2, maybe 2.5 inches, depending on if you're making an anklet or a bracelet. If you're making a anklet, definitely have it like at least 3 or 3.5 inches because you want it to be on the side of your foot. But for this bracelet, I'm just doing a little over 2 inches. Once you've done that, you're going to grab you can put it down on your desk with a piece of tape. I'm using the smiley face sticker, but you don't have to do this. I do end up taking it off because it's just easier for me without it doing this step. So now you're going to grab your first shell. This is what your shell should actually look like. The back should have a hole in it, so you want to make sure you get the right shells for this project. Then you're going to grab your string that's laying on the right side, and you're going to stick it through the top of your shell. There's like a rounder and a pointier shell part of end of the shell, so you're going to pull that to the more pointier side of your shell. Then you're going to grab your other piece on the left and stick it through the bottom of your shell. So it should look like this after you do that. Then you're just going to grab both your ends together with one hand and use the other hand to pull your shell down on the string to where you tied those knots before. Once you've done that, you're going to tie a regular knot on. Once you've done that, I ended up pulling off my sticker, but once you do that, you're just going to tie a regular knot right under where your shell is. So just a regular knot, loop it over, stick your ends through the loop, pull them through, and then pull your knot tight. You want to make sure it's tight enough but not too tight against your shell. And once you've done that, you can now get ready to add on your next shell. So just grab the next one. This is the one I'm going to be grabbing. And I like to hold it like the pointy end facing upwards. Then I'm going to grab the right string and stick it through my shell as shown, and then just grab both of those on one side, and then grab your left string and stick it through the bottom on the opposite side as you're holding on to the other pieces. Just stick it through there. It takes a little bit sometimes. Once you do that, just flip around your shell and pull it down against the other shell. And you can now go ahead and tie another knot, just like before. Then you're going to grab your next shell and repeat the same process for the shell as I showed you in the other two. Make sure to tie that knot nice and tight. Once you've done all that, you can go ahead and repeat the process all the way down. I ended up doing 8 shells, but you can do whatever fits for you, depending on whether you're making an anklet or a bracelet. Now we're going to go to our ends, and we're going to tie another knot about I'm doing a little over 2 inches long, just like before. So make your string the same length as you did for the other side. Then you're just going to tighten your knot and cut your string close to the knot. Once you do that, you can cut your ends and then melt it down a little bit, just like before. For the next part, we will just be making the sliding part of the bracelet. So you're going to grab your string and cut about 6 inches. I usually just eyeball it, but you can also measure with a ruler. Then you can go ahead and cut your string. This is what the sliding part will look like when you're done. It's really not that hard to make it. So let's go. You're going to start by grabbing your bracelet. I like to turn it to the side. And then you're going to stick that string that you cut underneath, just like this. Then you're just going to tie a regular knot by looping it under and then pulling tight. I like to pick up my bracelet for the next part and hold it like this. You're going to grab the string on the left and loop it underneath all of the other strings, and then bring it over top of your other string on the right. I didn't do that here, but make sure you do it. Then bring your right string over and put it through the loop from your string on the left. Now you're just going to bring the other one up and underneath through the loop of your right string and then pull that tight. You're basically just going to continue the same thing. I'll walk you through it again. Stick your right loop underneath and over top of your left string, and then grab your left string and bring it over and stick it through the loop that you made with your right string, and then just pull that tight. Basically what we're doing is zigzags. So you start on the right and then you start on the left, back and forth. So that's why it's doing this. Now I'm starting on the left side, bring it over my right string, bring my right string over and through the loop, grabbing them both and just pulling it tight. You don't want to do it too tight or it might be hard to slide it, but you also don't want it too loose because then it could easily come off your wrist. And just do that a couple more times. Here's mine all finished. Now you can go ahead and cut off your ends just a little bit away from where you tied your last knot. Then you can go ahead and melt down the ends a little bit and press it down with your finger, but be careful not to burn yourself. You can now tighten your bracelet, and you now have finished your bracelet. Congratulations, and I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!